So we all had the black truffle presets as animators.
I love
because
it.
they like pasta. And we all really enjoyed those. So
Yay!
Yeah.
I'm putting another notch on the scoreboard for myself, by the way.
Yeah, they were good.
Welcome back, everybody, to this week's episode of the DCL Duo podcast, brought to you by My Path Unwinding Travel. And Sam, as always, it is review time. This review, we keep inching up, like we're getting past a year ago, and then it comes back. So like we're still a year behind on reading these reviews. This one comes from Undertaker on Stage. So I don't know, maybe we have a WWE listener. All right. Undertaker on Stage writes, a DCL source favorite. Although we are an established Disney family, we are new to Disney cruising. As we explore, educate ourselves, and plan future trips, we have tried several DCL podcasts. However, we always seem to come back to the DCL Duo. The format stays familiar, but the topics are always fresh and up to date as DCL changes and adds new things. DCL Duo stays relevant to family travel without excluding adult-only experiences from guests on their show, as well as questions from listeners and viewers. They are also great about introducing other resources for DCL and other cruise lines. Really appreciate the effort they put into providing a quality show and a source of valuable information. Well, there you go.
Wow. That is like a top-notch review. It hits all of the things that we strive to be. Thank you, Undertaker, whatever
on
your
stage.
name was. Undertaker on Stage.
I'm trying to parse it differently to see if there's something I'm missing. But no, I think it's Undertaker on Stage. And so for everyone out there, as always, one of the easiest ways that you can help support our show is by leaving a 5-star review. Just head over to Apple Podcasts, hit those 5 stars. If you leave us a written review, we will read it at the top of one of our shows on the air, one of our main episodes. So with that, and I did want to say, by the time this show comes out, I'm really hoping we have crossed the 500 review mark. We are 13 reviews away, I think, from hitting 500 reviews on Apple Podcasts, and really excited about that. So if we haven't yet, hit those 5 stars. Help us out. All right.
Yes,
Sam,
please.
We have a fun guest coming to us all the way from across the Atlantic.
That's
you want to intro our guest?
I am super excited to introduce first-time guest to our show and now first-time cruiser all the way from Scotland. Anna, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
And welcome to the Silver Castaway Club. Right?
Yes, welcome to Castaway Club.
Yes, it'll be more exciting when I get to go my second cruise and get my silver swag.
Yes, to get either the tote bag, or I hear they're actually bringing back the sling bag across the fleet quite a bit. I think they ran out of the tote bags, perhaps, and then you get your lanyard to go with it. Absolutely. Well, Anna, we know since I said this is your first cruise, and Brian welcomed you to the Castaway Club. Of course, we've got to ask you, though, about your Disney background, because it is quite unusual to have a first-time Disney cruiser who has no, connection to Disney whatsoever. So I'm going to imagine that you have some background or love for Disney that came before deciding to cruise on Disney Cruise Line. So why don't you tell us about that?
Yeah, I mean, I actually think that going to Disney is quite popular now in the UK, although perhaps wasn't quite so popular when I was younger. So as a child, there was the odd person I knew who'd gone to Disney World, and I would have loved to have gone and always wanted to go, but didn't as a child. We did go to Disneyland Paris the year it opened. So I went with my family the year that opened. I'd been about 13, I think. And then no Disney other than, the kind of usual watching films, etc. And then I had my kids, and we decided that for our 40th birthdays, my husband and I would take our children to Disney World. So that was a few years ago now. So our kids would have been 4 and 7. We thought that was the perfect age for our one and only big Disney World trip, which we then repeated. So we've been to Disney World again. So we went again a few years after that, delayed by the pandemic. And we took my mum with us that time. And then I took the girls myself last summer as well. So we've had 3 trips to Disney World. And in between, we've gone to Disneyland Paris with the girls a couple of times as well. So that's my kind of Disney parks experience. And the girls have grown up watching Disney films as well. My husband didn't. It's taken him longer to get into, the Disney sphere. I would say he's probably still not quite as into it as the rest of us. He just didn't grow up watching Disney films or shows or anything. So he enjoys it, but he's definitely not as big a Disney fan as the rest of us.
Yeah. Well, it is funny though how that sort of crosses geographical divides, right? I mean, growing up with particularly the 90s, the best time in Disney animation history, in my humble opinion, sort of seeing all those great movies come out.
You're not so humble opinion. You don't have a humble opinion.
Fair. I'll admit it. But yeah, I feel like it's quite amazing how that really traverses, geographic boundaries and, folks all the way over in the UK watching the same movies as us, particularly where the English language is spoken, but even in countries over in Europe where English is not the primary language and everything's, dubbed into pretty much every language. So pretty cool. I gotta ask, how did you convince your husband to get on a Disney cruise? Well, let me start with, how did you decide you wanted to go on a Disney cruise first? And then how did you convince your husband that this was a vacation, since he's not all in on Disney like you are?
Well, it was actually for him, because while he might not love Disney, he loves boats. And the whole trip, actually, it was a big trip and the cruise was just part of it, but it was a celebration. He was doing a degree alongside his work for the last few years, and he graduated in December. And we've been talking about what trip he'd like to take to celebrate. And he's always fancied the idea of cruising, and I've not been keen. I get very motion sick. But he grew up, like his parents had a yacht growing up, and he loved boating. And since they've become older, they've moved from sailing their own yacht to going on cruises. So it's something he'd been quite keen on. So it was a compromise, really. I said I would try it if it was a Disney cruise. So that's how we ended up going on the Disney cruise.
Oh, that's awesome. Now, tell us, what was this obviously was over in the States. What was the entirety of the trip? What was the entirety of the itinerary? Because you said this was just part of one trip.
Well, we started in Iceland and then moved over to the States. This is a bit of a sidebar, but when we were looking at, so we booked the cruise first, and we booked that because just the dates worked, the price wasn't too bad. We quite like the idea of that time of year. And it was right in the middle of our Easter holidays. We get the first 2 weeks of April off, and that was sort of Wednesday to Sunday in the first week. And then months later, we were looking at flights, and they were awful. They were £1,000 per person to go over that Easter break. And then we realized we could fly Iceland Air and go indirect. To be honest, other indirect, they were really expensive, but for some reason, Iceland Air were a bit cheaper. They're kind of a no-frills airline. They don't give you any food, but what they do let you do is stop over in Iceland for up to 7 days. And I've discovered since, we met a few people on the plane, North Americans coming the other way, who were breaking up their journey by stopping in Iceland as well. So I think it's maybe more common than I realised to break up a North America to Europe journey by having a little break there and having a few days in Iceland. So we had a couple of days in Iceland on the way. We landed. We definitely were not going to be landing the day of the cruise. In fact, I didn't even trust us landing the day before, because if there'd been an issue, we wouldn't have had time to get another plane. So we landed 2 days before the cruise. And then after the cruise finished, we had 3 nights at Port Gillian's French Quarter, just doing a resort-only stay. So
fantastic.
Bit of a mix of things, but the cruise was the biggest part of it.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. That sounds like a great trip, a great holiday. I honestly think if you're traveling international to a cruise, whether that's a Disney cruise or on another line, not even the day before, 2 days before, I think is the safe bet, because as you mentioned, for us, getting even across country, right? We have a limited number of flights to get from the Seattle area to Florida, but we have a couple of options. In the worst case scenario, we can take a red eye. That's sort of our last ditch effort if we, missed an earlier flight or, a morning or afternoon flight. So, there are still options, but if you're traveling internationally, it's a much longer flight. You only have so many options on certain airlines. And I think the 2 days before is the right rule of thumb.
And if anything happens with your luggage, you want the extra time internationally to make sure that there's an opportunity for it to catch up with you. So
yeah, that's a good point. I always forget the luggage option, the luggage issue, because we know. We have our friend.
Hats off if you're able to travel, internationally for a cruise with a
carry-on only.
Yeah.
For a cruise where you need clothes for Iceland and the Bahamas on the same trip. Yeah, no, I mean that was a struggle just even with cold luggage. I could not have done that.
That must be why they make those pants that convert to shorts. There you go.
Well, I mean, we have our friend Ed, Brian, remember, who his luggage did not make it to New Orleans in time for him to sail on the Disney, was that the Wonder or the Magic a few years ago? Anyway, it was
the Wonder.
Yeah, it was just one of those rough situations where you sail without extra clothes and have to buy everything at the various stops. So not a great option, or on board, and Disney might help you out a little bit. But anyway, let's chat about your cruise, Anna. What itinerary did you choose? What ship did you choose as well? And was it really based on dates, or did you have a particular ship or itinerary in mind when you decided to book a Disney cruise?
I was casting my mind back to this because we booked it at the end of 2023, and I was thinking, why did we pick this? Timing, definitely, because he graduated in the December. We thought going away over our Easter break was a good time. And so once you start to narrow it down, because I didn't want to go on too long an itinerary the first time because I didn't know how I would cope with my motion sickness. We thought 3 would be not quite enough, so 4 seems like a good option. We'd heard lots of people say they loved the Fantasy, which was doing 4 nights out of Port Canaveral, and this one particularly appealed because it went to Castaway Cay and Lookout Cay. So, obviously we'd never done either of them, but the idea of getting to do them both on the same cruise was really appealing. So I think it was all those things together.
Yeah. Well, that's a perfect decision. I think, we always tell people, if you're worried about motion sickness, choose a shorter cruise. Of course, you can't go wrong if you choose a cruise that's going to stop at Castaway or Lookout. Even better if you can do a duo dip and hit both. I mean, that's an incredible itinerary to get to do. I am also going to give you kudos for choosing a Bahamian itinerary for someone who is motion sick, and gets motion sick, because we try to tell people your best bet, of course, outside of hurricane season, your best bet for smooth seas is going to be Bahamas or Caribbean out of Florida. That's where you're gonna, the Atlantic tends to be the calmest outside of hurricane season. You don't want to do a transatlantic, you don't want to do a trans-Pacific, and you probably don't even want to do a Pacific Coast cruise, to be perfectly honest, because those are where the seas are rougher. So if you're trying it out and you're someone who has, gets some motion sickness, that's your best option for sort of the trying it out 3-night, 4-night, what have you. So fantastic decision making there. So let's talk about the pre-booking process. You're brand new cruiser, had never cruised on Disney Cruise Line before, so you are at the bottom of the barrel when it comes to booking stuff, but you're going to Castaway and Lookout. I'm curious, did you even, decide to book any excursions at either of those places? No, yeah.
No, not at all. Because it was our first time, we knew that it would be enough of a novelty just to be on those beaches and just to see what there was there. So we knew we weren't going to book anything, and we didn't book anything on the ship at all other than the Princess Gathering.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we didn't do anything else.
Yeah. Now, remind me, how old are your girls? How old are they now? Because you cruised just a couple weeks ago. So
Yes.
How old are they? Yeah.
They're 13 and 10. And they both do they're not going to be dressing up like the princesses now, but they do still like meeting them. They still really like meeting characters generally.
Oh, love that. Yeah. So that's perfect. The Royal Gathering, the great thing about the Royal Gathering booking is, 1, it's free. And 2, everybody is on equal footing for booking. You book that at 30 days prior to your cruise at midnight Eastern. So it's
4 a.m. for us because the clocks have changed in one country and not in the other country. So my husband and I set our alarms with the idea that he would do the Princess Gathering and I would do all the check-in, and he definitely had the better go of it because he was over in seconds. He turned it to me and said, CJ, 10:15. I was like, yeah, that'd be great. And he got it. And then there was loads of people in the group going, we didn't get the Princess Gathering. And I don't know how he managed to get it. He had multiple choices. He must just have hit at the right time. And God love him, he did stay awake with me while I sat for approximately an hour and a half at 4 a.m, trying to
upload all the stuff.
Oh my God, it was awful. Like there were so many people chatting in the Facebook group at the same time. And I think we all agreed to complain to Disney as well, because an hour and a half of the circle of doom constantly going round and round.
Did you ever, so it's interesting, did you ever think like, we'll just do it in the morning and deal with whatever comes,
So
you know, like, yeah.
So by that point, we started to think we should have done that. However, by then we were wide awake at 5 a.m.
Right. Once you've been working at it for
we
an
weren't
hour.
going back to sleep. Yes.
Yeah.
So we thought, let's just stay now. I don't think it made that much of a difference time-wise. We got 12:45. And I know that other people who were up at the same time as us got kind of 1:15. But I know that when I woke up the next morning and had a look online, we could still have got 1:15. So it wouldn't have been that different.
Yeah. I think, unfortunately, Disney IT, as we talk about all the time, just does not have, the websites are not great. The capacity is always rough, especially if multiple cruises are checking in on the same day. Then, they just don't have the bandwidth to deal with it. And it's really unfortunate because it makes that experience so, so bad. But the other thing that I want to point out, though, for folks listening is, if you want the Royal Gathering, you need to be doing that separate from the check-in process. It happens at the exact same time, but exactly what you did, divide and conquer with yourself and your husband, that is the way to do it. Or to just do the Royal Gathering first and then go and do your check-in. If there's only one adult that can do the whole thing. If you really want the Royal Gathering, do that first. And I think the reason why often people miss out on that sign up is because they're doing the check-in and then they go to do the Royal Gathering and it's all gone. The other tip is that often people sign up and then drop it later, and there are also usually more spaces available on board. But you need to, try and make that reservation either through the app or through guest services like immediately when you get there, because those experiences, because they're free, they do fill up. And the other tip is you will be able to see the princesses at other times. You just won't be able to see them all, like 3 or 4 of them at once. And so that's the benefit of the Royal Gathering, is you get, you're in one line and you get to see 3 or 4 princesses and get your picture taken with each of them, or get autographs, or, get a hug, whatever you want out of that character experience. You get to sort of knock them all out at once. And can be a big benefit just time-wise, because the queues for characters, as we've noticed over the years, have gotten longer than they used to be. Now, they're not like in the parks, right? You're not going to wait an hour for, Anna and Elsa like you might in the parks, but you may have to wait, 30 minutes for some of the characters on board. So yeah, definitely a smart divide and conquer plan for the Royal Gathering. Well, and I have to tell you, I think your strategy for not booking other things on board is the right strategy. For first-time cruiser, there's so much to do on the ship. I always feel bad when people are stressing about, I didn't get the string tasting, or I didn't get this adult dining. I'm like, there's so much to experience on board. You don't need any of those things that you have to pay extra for. You're going to want to experience main dining. You're going to want to experience all the, trivias and game shows and theater shows and all that stuff. So anyway.
I'm curious, when you got on board, did you decide to try and book anything like a Palo or, anything like that?
No, we knew we weren't going to. We didn't try. I didn't even look when our opening came for our, I can't remember how far out it was. Was it 75 days? Was it something like that for first timers? We didn't even look, didn't even log on, because we knew the only thing we were booking was the Princess Gathering. Yeah.
Yeah. And when you got on board, you didn't try to go looking for anything at all?
There was nothing we wanted to do. I mean, I think also we really wanted to all experience it all together this first time. So, I mean, you probably go on to ask about the kids' clubs. We didn't even look at them. The kids didn't go. We didn't go to the open day.
My gosh.
It's such a short cruise. It's only not just a short cruise. It's that the 2 port days we had were days when we knew we'd be off the ship for quite a long time. It's
yes.
NASA, knowing you might just pop off and pop back on again. We knew we had one real full day and then a little bit of time that first day, and that was it. So we just wanted to do everything all together. So they didn't go to the kids club. Partly also they were concerned they wouldn't be at the same one because they're 13 and 10. We probably could have.
You could have aged up the 10-year-old to
we
edge.
could have asked.
Yeah.
I know it was I'm pretty sure people said it was a full cruise, so we may or may not have had luck with that. But we wanted to spend our time pretty much all together. We sometimes split off 2 and 2. Sometimes adults, sometimes children. Mainly our children going off exploring while we sat on the veranda.
Oh, lovely.
But we did sometimes split up one adult and one child for, briefly. But I don't think we would have wanted to commit to a significant period of time separately when we were all spending time together that first time.
Yeah. Well, and I like I said, I think that's a great decision, particularly for a first time cruise. And when you're coming all the way over, you really want to maximize your time doing a whole bunch of different activities on board. Well, let's dive in and talk about the embarkation process. You obviously were sailing out of Port Canaveral. Where were you staying before the cruise?
The night immediately before we stayed in Cocoa Beach, we'd landed so late on the Monday night that we just stayed in an airport hotel, kind of 10 minutes from the airport for that one night. Did a few different things on the Tuesday and then stayed in Cocoa Beach on the Tuesday night so that we were quite close on the Wednesday morning.
Yeah. Did you take a hotel shuttle to the port, or did you take a Uber, Lyft,
we
something
hired
like
a
that?
car for the whole time. We really like driving in the States. It's so much easier than any other country because the roads are massive and the cars are massive. It just feels really straightforward. We priced out lots of different options because we were moving around a lot. We had this airport hotel and then we were going to Cocoa Beach and we wanted to go shopping in between time. The girls wanted to go and find crumble cookies that day. So we were going to have to source one of those. We knew they'd want to go to a Target. We needed to get over there. And then we had the cruise, and then we knew afterwards we were going to Disney World, and we could use their transport, but we were also doing we were going to be doing mini golf and Blizzard Beach and horse riding, and we knew we could use Disney transport, but also having a car might make it a little bit easier. So we actually just hired a car for the whole time we were over, and I separately priced up all the different things that we could do, and it was no more expensive, and it was just it was meant to be more convenient. The one thing that was not that convenient was the parking at Port Canaveral. That threw a spanner in the works and nearly derailed us slightly, but everything else about having the car did make things easier.
What happened with the parking?
We didn't realize the card that I had been using to pay. So I have a bank account that has a card attached to it, that when you use it in other countries, you don't pay any commission on the money. It just automatically
no foreign transaction
yes,
fee. Yeah.
Whatever is the best rate that day, that's what you pay. We always use it on holiday and I've never had any issues. And then we went to put it in the machine at the parking. It kept saying declined and didn't have another card. I had other cards that had that would have a fee.
Right.
We couldn't work out, and we probably had also queued. I don't think we had really anticipated. We knew it would only be 10 minutes from where we were staying in Cocoa Beach to the cruise terminal. And when everyone says, don't arrive early, don't arrive early, don't arrive early. So we won't arrive early. So we maybe left our hotel, 20 minutes before we thought we wanted to get there. And then we sat for about 15 minutes, 15 to 20 minutes maybe in a queue to get into the parking garage. And then we blocked everybody.
Say that again. When did you get to the terminal for the parking?
So I'm trying to think. We got there before our port arrival time. So I think our port arrival time was 12:45. And I think we were probably aiming to get to the parking garage for maybe just a bit after 12:30. Thinking it'll take time to park and then walk across the road. But we actually, because we didn't realise there'd be a queue to get into the parking garage, and it was probably about 15 minutes sitting in the car and the car's moving forward.
Just waiting for the line.
Just to get into that. And then we blocked everybody by not being able to pay.
This is You weren't at the Disney terminal for this, right? You were at the...
it was right opposite. So we were Terminal 8 was where we went from. It's the parking garage. So it's right opposite.
That is.
Walk over. And so there's like the 3 bits that you can take your car. So the lady couldn't work out why our car wouldn't work. And she was clearly quite harassed. This lady on her own trying to maneuver everybody. And she said, maybe it's the machine. So she got everybody to back up so we could move to a different... It's mortifying. So we could go to a different machine. No, it was not the machine. And so then we had to dig around in my bag to find this extra card that we hadn't been using on holiday because you do pay a foreign transaction fee. And then eventually we got through and we were so flustered by this point. But thank God we'd all gone in the car. What we thought about doing initially was my husband was driving that day and he was going to drop me and the girls and the luggage at the drop off and just go and park himself. He didn't have any cards handy. We only had my cards.
Oh my gosh.
So had he done that, it would have been a complete nightmare.
Oh, it's good he didn't. Yeah.
Yeah, I was beside him. So we just grabbed my normal credit card and paid with that. And then we were able to get through. But we were all quite stressed by that point, particularly when we were not like our happy Disney selves.
Yeah.
And so this is after our port arrival time by this point. probably only about 10 to 1 rather, maybe 10 to 5 to 1. So we quickly parked and got over. And actually, it worked out really well because when we got down, we gave our luggage to the guy. We went over, they asked our time. Well, everyone had already gone in that line.
Right.
So they had the 1 o'clock people queuing up in their line. We just got to go straight through. And then there was nobody waiting to check our passports. So we just walked straight up to a counter, straight around the corner, put our luggage on, up through the hall, no time to stop because there's nobody. Everyone's just walking on straight through. We barely had time to stop and take a picture in front of the Mickey tunnel.
Yeah.
But at least we weren't holding anyone up because there was nobody there. Straight through and straight on. So I'm not sure, like somebody had said in advance on the cruise ship, we should allow maybe about 30 minutes from your port arrival time to when you get onto the boat. But even with our massive issue, it was much less than that. It was literally the time it took to walk and people to briefly check things. So it didn't end up being a problem. But and you're flustered and you're
just
holding all these other people up. And it was a horrible way to start it. But probably, at least then we got to get through quite quickly.
Yeah. Well, and listen, it's a good cautionary tale to folks who are coming from abroad that there can be issues with the credit cards. I mean, we've had issues when we've used our American credit cards in other countries. And it's just something to remember, like, having more than one card option is probably a good thing, even if that means you're going to have to pay that foreign transaction fee.
And we discovered afterwards what it was, because when I was able to then get access to the internet and the message came through on my phone saying what had gone wrong, there's something you have to enable within the app. A function, the type of machine I was obviously putting it into, which to me didn't seem any different to any other one. But actually, I did remember that we'd had the same issue, I think it was 2022 when we were we were in Walmart. We had the same issue there with my card. And actually, we had my mum with us there. So she just paid with her card and we just transferred money to her. But thinking back, it had been the same issue and I'd had to enable something to be able to use it in that type of machine. But it was the only time we had an issue with it this holiday.
So funny. Oh my goodness. But like I said, yeah. But it does color though, that first day, because you just aren't in your, like you said, you're sort of out of sorts. You're sort of flustered when you're arriving. I will say that, your experience as far as like going right through and right in, I think is actually pretty typical at Port Canaveral. There are occasions where you might have to wait 30 minutes, but I think generally speaking, unless you're at the earliest port arrival times, oftentimes there is really, very little wait except for maybe just going through that check-in queue if you have people in front of you. But if you end up showing up a little bit after your port arrival time, you actually tend to do really well as far as sort of flying through the lines and getting on board. Now we've got to ask about.
Can I just go back? I just want to emphasize one thing here. The using a rental car instead of transportation. Such a good point to put on this. Like, everyone do the math on some of this sometimes, because I have found it can be cheaper to rent the car and park it at the port than dealing with Disney transportation at times, or dealing with a hired car service.
Yeah.
And even if it's less expensive, I think the point I would also highlight is you have a lot more flexibility on either end of your cruise. So like, I've looked at it from the standpoint of, well, we're going to land at MCL, we're going to take an Uber to Disney World. Then I got to get the car out to the port, then the car back. And then what are we doing with our luggage if we're sticking around, for the day before our flight? And, we want to go to Disney Springs. It is sometimes way more convenient to have that car available, and maybe the incremental or slightly higher cost of that as opposed to taking some of these other transportation options is worth it. And for the Disney transportation, I'll just highlight, remember, they're going to take you right back to the airport, right? More than likely, or to a resort hotel. If you're looking to get around the resort, or you want to go from the airport over to the parks for the day or Disney Springs, there's going to be more cost. So just do the math. I fully support sometimes the hiring the car is the better approach.
We had also we had 4 large suitcases and 4 rucksacks that were quite full as well. So just the idea of having, because I would have had multiple Ubers to go to all these different places the girls wanted to go to. So
yeah, and then you're not taking the least expensive. You're not taking the least expensive Uber, right? You got to take the big one, right?
Yes, it's the XL, and then
exactly. Well, and I understand
multiple and lifting the luggage in and out.
Yeah. Well, and you got to go to Target when you're in the States, right? I mean,
yes. I think also we needed somewhere to leave our winter coats that we'd brought for Iceland, our woolies. And we also, this might have been a questionable choice in the Florida sunshine, but we also left the bag of dirty laundry that we'd accumulated so far in the boot of the car as well. I slightly regretted that when I got back, but we didn't see any point in taking that on the ship with us. So that and all our coats we left in the car too. And it just meant we knew that I wouldn't take up quite as much space in the fairly small room as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. That's hilarious. I love that you went to Target though. I love that you had certain American stores you wanted the girls.
I mean, we were lucky to get away with not going to the Walmart on 192 in Orlando, because normally my children insist on that.
Really?
Yes, they have particular foods they like getting from it, and they know where it is in the shop. And we weren't over that side this time. I don't think we went to Walmart at all, but we did go to Target.
That's hilarious. That's too funny. And you're comfortable driving on the other side of the road, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're one of the few countries that drive on the left. So, I mean, whenever we go anywhere else, we're
right. When you travel to mainland Europe, you have to drive on. Yeah.
Yeah. Although, to be honest, I mean, I've probably been to America more times than I've been to mainland Europe, or the same number of times. So we've been, coming over and hiring cars for quite a long time. So I feel quite happy.
Sam will not let me drive a car in the UK. So
I'm afraid of him driving on the wrong side of the road.
I just don't think you do. I don't think you even think about it, because you're on the other side of the car as well. But we've actually taken our car to France as well.
That's probably harder.
And we still never have driven on the wrong side of the road, but it takes a bit more adjusting because you're still on the same side of the car as usual.
Right.
Whereas I think when you're on the other side of the car, it makes sense to drive on the other side of the road.
Right. No, that absolutely does make sense. Well, let's jump into you are embarking on the beautiful Disney fantasy. You walk into that beautiful atrium. There's some folks that announced your family name and some folks clapping for you. Tell us about that moment. Was it a magical moment? Was it a meh moment? Or were you just too overwhelmed? Yeah.
We were still stressed and a little bit fraught. So that maybe wasn't the magical moment. We did. I mean, it was lovely. When you walk in and you see it in real life, that is amazing. We were still on edge from the whole debacle at the car park. I think we made the wrong lunch choice as well, so we didn't calm down quickly. We had the madness of cabanas right after we got on the ship, because by the time we got on the ship, it was about, what time would it have been by then? Just after 1:00 by the time we were in the atrium. And we were hungry. So.
Yeah. Well, and the faster option is always going to be cabanas, but I still stand by the adage that the faster option is not relaxing. And so that sit down lunch, even though it will take a chunk of time, that's the best way to start.
By the time we found a table, I'm not sure it was the faster option.
Really?
Given the Royal Palace, I want to say Palace, not Royal Court.
I never remember which one. I'll tell you in a second because I'll look it up on the internet.
I think it's Royal Palace. So it was right there. I think if we just walked in and got a table right then, that probably would have been quicker. But instead we had to go all the way up to deck 11. I think we just had to climb the stairs as well because we wanted to see it. This is the way we justified all the eating, was we just took the stairs almost all the time. And so it wasn't too bad getting food, but finding a table, we must have spent 10 minutes circling around just trying to find a table because it was quite windy that day. We did go outside initially, but to be like, at one point, the food just went sliding across the table because it was so windy.
Oh, wow.
And then we needed to come inside and find a table inside. So that did take, it wasn't relaxing. It was probably the busiest we saw cabanas while we were on the cruise. I think in future I would take your advice and go for the sit down.
Yeah. It's Royal Court. I did just look it up. Royal Court on the Disney Fantasy, Royal Palace on the Disney Dream. It's, I don't really understand why they gave them different names because their theming is basically the same and the menus are exactly the same. So to me,
other restaurants, they kept the names. I don't know why they had to make it confusing, but
I know it's just, they just wanted to. Well, I'd love to talk about Lookout Cay and Castaway Cay first. Which one did you stop at first?
So Lookout. So we had a day at sea, then Lookout, then Castaway.
All right. Well, let's talk about Lookout first. Obviously, this is your first experience on a Disney private island. I'd love to know what you guys got up to, what you thought of the island. Did you have any concerns about the pier? All of the things.
Now, I don't know how to say that. I said this on a previous podcast I was on before about just a Disney World trip, and I don't know how to say this without it sounding. I think it got. I don't know if it got taken the wrong way, but we walk a lot more over here because it's not hot. It's never too hot to walk. And we have really good public transport and things are set up for walking. We couldn't understand why people had said this was a long walk. Even my children who complain about taking the dog for a walk were like, why do people going on about the length of this pier? I suspect if you were doing it in July, it would be completely different.
Yep.
Because actually we've never been to, I actually don't think I've ever been to the States at all in April, any parts of the States. And we were amazed by how amazing the weather was. We normally go in July. And I can imagine if you were doing that walk in July, it would be a completely different situation.
Especially at the end of the day, like when you're walking back after you just spent the whole day out in the sun. I think that's where the issue really exists. But I agree with you. I mean, I think in nice weather or if you get a breeze going, like it's not a long walk. From my perspective, it's not a long walk. It's longer than at Castaway.
Well, that's the thing. I wonder if it is because we hadn't done Castaway yet and I didn't really have, you can watch us on videos, but you still can't really judge the difference. And I think for people who are used to Castaway, then I can see then why it's not just that it's longer, it's that it's plain and there's nothing happening really on the pier that you're walking on. But it didn't feel a long walk, but it was beautiful weather. It was really sunny with a bit of a breeze. So perfect for doing the walk.
Yeah. Now, what did you guys think of the beach, the activities, the food? I'd love to hear, your sort of overall impressions of Lookout Cay.
The beach was amazing. We we found seats really easily. We've had seats really easily on both beaches, but Lookout, we were just behind the cultural centre. Before you go down onto the beach, that sort of bit before the dune, before you go down onto the beach. And we were able to grab some chairs there. I think there's just like maybe two. We knew we wouldn't really be sitting on them. So I think there was I know this is a thing that you have about getting
we both get crazy about this. You're so right, Anna. Yeah. Brian and I are like, why does a family of four grab 4 lounge chairs? Yeah. You're not using 4 lounge chairs.
Because we were not going to be using 4 lounge chairs. One of my children in particular doesn't ever sit still. So we were not going to be using 4 lounge chairs. I think we put our stuff on 2. And then we were down. That sand is just... Never experienced anything like that. That was absolutely amazing. It was so soft. We found it a little bit cold when we first got in the water. Our only experience of swimming in the sea that's not, paddling off the coast of Scotland, which obviously is just always cold. Our only experience of swimming in the sea had been off Anna Maria Island on the west coast of Florida in the summer, which had been like going into a bath. It was not like going into a bath. It was definitely colder than that, but you got used to it quite quickly and it was beautiful. We absolutely loved it. So we spent quite a lot of time just swimming, all of us out in the water. And then the sand just was amazing as well. It's a beautiful beach.
Yeah, we love that beach. It's just, and I feel like the potential there is just incredible. Once the foliage kind of fills in more,
Yes.
it'll be
Yeah.
even more beautiful. It's already beautiful, but I feel like it'll be even more beautiful as the palm trees grow, as it, sort of matures in all of its greenery. Did you enjoy any of the cultural experiences? Did you check out the Junkanoo sort of parade that happens? I think that's always fun, or check
Yeah.
out any of the other.
We missed the one that was around about lunchtime. Is it 12 o'clock? Maybe it's on it, but we were over getting food, which took a lot longer than we expected.
Yeah.
But we managed to catch the one, I think it was maybe 2 o'clock. I was convincing my family we had to do this. So we did see the Junkanoo, and that was fantastic. We had a little look at the shops. I meant to go back and I didn't. There was a lady selling jewelry that she'd made. I think it's from like the sand and some of the seashells. Oh, it was amazing. Her jewelry was absolutely fantastic. And if I go back, I'm going to make sure I get a chance to buy some of that. Because the different artists they had there, the different things they were selling was fantastic. So I really like that too. We were mainly just in the sea. Other than that, though, other than seeing the Junkanoo, we were mainly just swimming and waiting a while to get lunch.
Yes.
Now, sorry, I was going to say that's the thing about Lookout is it all feels a little bit further apart. At Castaway, It all felt quite close together, whereas at Lookout, it's a little bit. So if you wanted an ice cream, I went over with one of my children to get ice creams, and the other two had said what they wanted. I was walking back. We had to walk really quickly back.
Right, so it doesn't melt all over your hand.
They were melting. And the man stopped me and was wanting to find out like where I'd got them from. Could I give him directions? And I've got ice cream literally dripping down my hands as I was trying to carry all these cones back to my husband and my daughter who were still at the sea. Luckily, my other daughter was behind me with just her cone. and she was like, it's okay, I'll tell you. As I ran across the beach with these other cones. So she gave him directions. But I mean, they were just dripping down my hands. Whereas I think we're a lot closer to everything when we were at Castaway, so it was just a slightly different experience. But it's a beautiful, beautiful island. I would love to go back.
Yeah. I wonder what you guys thought of the food, other than obviously there being a longer wait for the food. Did you like the food? Did you think the quality and variety was good?
We really liked the food, but they have to do something about the signs.
They still had the signs
wrong.
Why
do they have us? Like, why have they got this sign saying burgers here, fish here, this other thing here? Why did they do that? Because everybody was lined up behind the thing they wanted. And then every so often these cast members are coming around and saying, oh, you can get anything at any station. No, I don't know that. There's nothing to tell me that. We were definitely not the only people who thought that. Everyone around us was thinking the same that they had. So my husband and one of my children had lined up in one line and I was in the line with the other child because we wanted different things. I'm vegetarian, so I was going to really probably just be looking for something like a vegetarian burger. And my youngest and my husband had gone to line up for maybe, I can't remember, some sort of barbecued meat or something. We did not know that you could get everything at every window. And so there was other people as well, families that had separated out to go to the correct window. So I'm not sure. I don't know why they've not changed that. Even just taking the signs down completely.
Yeah, well, and they've changed the way they've set up the food now several times. So like that's the other thing is we're hearing inconsistencies from cruise to cruise about how the food is even set up. And so the signage sounds like it's completely, wrong. Well,
I want to shift us. I want to shift us over to Castaway for a second.
Exactly,
and I mean, what were your first impressions of Castaway? But also, I want to hear, how do you think it compared to Lookout?
Oh, we spent a lot of time talking about this and trying to decide which was our favourite as well, because it's hard not to compare them when you're doing one day after the other and they're such similar kind of destinations. I think at Castaway, it's so convenient how close together everything is. And I don't really mean getting off the ship and getting to the beach. I just mean once you're there. I've heard a few of your trip reports with people saying they found it difficult to find chairs, but we did not find that at all. There was chairs everywhere. We were right opposite the first I want to say cookies. Is that the other island? Is it cookies?
No,
Yep,
cookies.
cookies.
Yep.
You got it.
Cookies.
Yep.
Cookies barbecue.
We were right opposite. We actually started with a couple of chairs, and then there was free hammocks. So we chose to have a couple of hammocks, and the girls were always on those, or one or other of us was always on those. And then there was like one or two of those little chairs on the ground we had beside that. We were right opposite where they have all the fresh fruit and the ice cream and the all the food. The toilets were really nearby. So it was so convenient. Everything was so close together there. And I suspect it was one of the things that made us all like it so much. I think for the kids having the hammocks as well. The beach is not as beautiful. I think obviously the sand is coarser. It's more like what probably most of us are used to. The sea was actually colder as well. But I think also, so they did say that morning that it was quite rough, and you could see the waves smashing against the kind of barrier out in the water. And I think that's one of the wonderful things with the beach at Lookout is you can just see the entire horizon in front of you. The sea just goes on. Whereas obviously at Castaway, you lose something with having that barrier and not being able to see all the way out to sea. Because it was such a choppy day, there were still quite a lot of waves, even with the barrier. But it was lovely. But the beach itself, I think, is more beautiful at Lookout. But the convenience of the way they've set it up, we preferred at Castaway.
I 100% agree with you on all fronts. I feel like that everything is closer together. It's just easier at Castaway to get from point A to point B, and even just to get the ice cream without it melting all the way down your hands. So that's a nice thing. But you don't have as beautiful a beach. You do have a beautiful beach, but not quite as lovely.
Are you listening to our show because you want to make the most out of your next vacation? Great news, the fabulous team over at My Path Unwinding Travel can help guide you so you don't miss a thing. Their team of professional travel advisors are caring, knowledgeable, and experienced. It's why we use them to book our own travel. My Path Unwinding Travel is an authorized Disney vacation planner, which means they are recognized by Disney for their expertise and service. They have sailed on all the Disney ships, including in concierge, visited the theme parks, adventured with Disney, relaxed at Aulani, and so much more. Whether it's a Disney cruise, a theme park vacation, or Adventures by Disney, or if you are looking to expand beyond the mouse, My Path Unwinding Travel will elevate your next vacation planning experience. Even if you have already booked, reach out for a complimentary consultation to make your vacation even more magical. Ready to talk to the experts? Head over to mypathunwinding.com/DCL Duo or email DCLDuo@mypathunwinding.com so they know we sent you their way. Thanks, My Path Unwinding, for sponsoring today's show. Now back to the episode.
Let's jump back onto the ship. I'd love to hear, some of the things you all got up to. You mentioned, you really had a full day and a half to spend on the ship, and you spend it mostly together as a family. I'm curious, what were some of your favorite onboard activities? We'll get to dining and shows, but I want to hear about sort of the other activities that you all got up to on board.
So we did shuffleboard, which we really enjoyed. We did the mini golf. We liked that too. The girls thought they would really like the pools, but the reality is they are children's soup with children who are much younger than them, who are splashing about. They did not enjoy the pools particularly. They both did that little yellow slide, but we kept measuring my 13-year-old before we went, because we knew that she was going to, I think it's 64 inches, and she is almost 64 inches. We knew she was going to be nearly that height. And she was just under the height, but I don't think she liked being measured quite often. And they would say she was fine every time, and up she went, but she obviously looked close to the height. So they liked it, but they didn't love it. The line was always really long for the aqueduct. And that was something my youngest is the one that likes planning with me. We're the ones who watch all the YouTube videos and plan things out. And we had really wanted to do this. And in the end, we did it on the Castaway Key day when we got back on the ship. Because we thought, well, some people will still be on the island. It was posted at 30 minutes. And I think we waited 45. And I wouldn't wait that long again, but it was really good fun. So we did manage to do that. We did Midship Detective. I knew we were going to want to do that. So we did which one did we do first? I think maybe on our sea day, the four of us did what's it called? Dalmatians. And then on the Castaway Day. I think it was the Castaway Day. No, it was the one before, the Lookout Day. That was the night that they didn't have a show in the theatre, but they were showing Snow White. And my 13-year-old really wanted to see it. So my husband said he would take her to that. And my youngest and I did the Muppets one that evening.
The best one, the absolute best storyline.
She did tell them they need to do that one at some point as well. We really enjoyed it. Actually, one of the things, so we really enjoyed, and then the girls enjoyed it too, together a little bit, is going around and doing the pixie dust. So we had, I mean, I know that not all first timers are going to join up to the Fish Extender group, but I mean, I just saw it as a chance for more planning and organisation. So I was all in on that.
That's hilarious that you say that. Why
would you not do that?
I know. It's so much work though.
Oh,
I mean, it's really, it can be really fun. I like to just pixie dust and not do fish extenders anymore, because the pixie dust is just like random acts of kindness, right? But whereas Fish Extender, you're planning and you're doing a more formal like gift exchange, but it's a lot of work to plan and coordinate.
It is, and also our group changed very close to the date. So they set the groups up after the paid in full date, but before. So it would have been before the date they were closing. It was set up relatively late, and we had joined a group. We were the last people, so there was groups of 10 and groups of 5. And I mean, I'm not totally crazy. I chose a group of 5, partly also because I didn't have the luggage space for gifts for 10 people and taking the stuff back. So we had joined last in our group, so we'd taken down the details. We started to buy the things, and then we went back to check at one point. Gosh, just a few weeks before the cruise, and it was not all the same families. One of the families had changed. They'd moved to a different group. I think they'd maybe moved to a group of 10. And we had a new family who joined the group. So quick shuffling around of things and buying a few new bits as well. So I did that with my youngest, who really likes the planning and organisation, and we did all the kind of labelling and making up of all the bags, and we did quite a lot of the pixie dust bags. And so actually the first day on the ship, she's quite an early riser, and my teenager isn't, so, and we were still slightly jet lagged as well. So I think I woke up about 6 that morning, maybe 5:30, 6, and I couldn't get back to sleep. And then she woke up about 7, by which time I'd showered. I managed to not wake everybody else up. And so she and I just snuck out, and we went to Cabanas and had first breakfast. And then we took a bunch of the pixie dust with us and explored the ship, doing some pixie dusting. And just, I don't know, looking at people's doors. We loved looking at the way people decorated their doors. We obviously had planned and decorated our doors as well, because it's another thing we could plan. She loved it. Like, some doors would have boards that you could write on, like questions, and you could leave notes for people. Some of them had, take a pixie dust gift bag. She'd never done pin trading before. They've both got pins that they've got in Disney parks before, but they'd never done pin trading. But she saw all these boards, so I ended up buying a pack in the gift shop of some pins for them to trade, because she loved going around and looking at the boards and seeing if there's any she wanted to swap. So she and I spent quite a lot of time, both that first morning and the night Snow White was on, just going round and looking at the doors and exploring the ship as well.
I love that. What a great, I mean, I love to do that myself. So when I go and, gift magnets across the ship, that's usually what I pixie dust for people. I love getting to see different people's doors, getting to see how other people's pixie dust. It's just really fun. Mm-hmm. It's just a fun way to really like explore the ship and get some steps in, right? For those of us who like to walk.
Yes. I mean, we did wonder, I think we were all a bit anxious in advance that we're going to be eating all this food and not moving very much. And we all did 15 to 20,000 steps a day. I think on the beaches you're walking around quite a lot, swimming and things as well. But even on our ship day, we all did close to 20,000 steps.
I love that. Well, I got to ask you about shows, because of course that's the thing I love the most on Disney Cruise Line. And on the Disney Fantasy, you'll have a really wonderful array of shows. You've got Frozen, you've got, Believe, and you have... Why am I blanking? Aladdin, that's right. Aladdin, yeah. Did you go see, you mentioned you skipped Snow White. I personally tend to skip movies on the ship because I want to spend time exploring and doing other things, but I don't skip the theater shows. Did you hit all 3 theater shows?
We did.
Yeah.
We didn't necessarily think we were going to. We'd all in advance said one or two things we really wanted to do in the ship. And I said, I really want to go to one of the shows. And my eldest is very into drama and she was very keen to do one of the shows as well. But we enjoyed Aladdin on the first night so much. We decided it was a priority to go to all the shows.
Nice. And what do you think overall? Did you enjoy all three of them?
Yeah, we did enjoy all three of them. This is maybe going to shock you, but Frozen was nobody's favourite. We all really liked it.
Wow.
Me and the girls liked Aladdin best, and my husband liked Believe best.
Of course, your husband liked Believe. It's always the men who like Believe because it's that father-daughter storyline.
Well, yes, he's got two daughters, I suppose. So yeah, he liked Believe best. We all liked Aladdin best. To the extent where when we started talking about cruises for the future, my daughter made me find out, my eldest, which other ships have Aladdin because she would like to see it again.
Yeah. Well, that means I guess you're going on the Wish. Yeah.
Yes, or the Fantasy again, maybe.
Or the Fantasy again. Yeah, no Midship Detective Agency on the Wish. You got to go on. Only the Dream class has Midship Detective. We personally think that's a mistake. I think instead of the Uncharted Adventure, they should have put the Midship Detective Agency or just an updated version of Midship Detective Agency on the Wish class. But, Disney doesn't always call me for advice and ask me what they should do. All right. Well, the last biggest category that we always have to talk about is food, because it is such an important part of, I think, any cruise. And I'm curious what you guys thought about the food. Obviously, that first day at Cabanas or that first afternoon at Cabanas was, chaotic mess. And that's always what that chaotic mess lunch is. So I feel like that's not a good judge of what the food is like on board or the dining experiences like on board. But, did you guys eat at Cabanas for, like breakfast and lunch? Did you eat pool deck food? And then, of course, we got to talk about the dining rooms.
Sadly, that was the only day we went for lunch. And so our only impression of it for lunch is that crazy first day, because obviously 2 of the 3 days we were on the islands. And so we had the food at Cookies and True, is that? Yeah.
Yep. Cookies and True. Yep.
So 2 of the days we had that. And the other day we'd actually decided we were going to attempt the pool in the middle of the day. So we just had pool deck food. So on our sea day. So that was the only time we managed Cabana's lunch. And I suspect that my husband feels he missed out with that because he really enjoys a buffet. And I think probably would have liked to have been there more often. We did go there for breakfast I'm trying to think, how often did we go? 2 of our 4 days we went for breakfast. And then we did a breakfast at Royal Court on our Castaway day. And then we went to our assigned, I think it was Enchanted Garden. We went to our assigned breakfast on our last morning as well. So we had a bit of a mix for breakfasts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And what did you think about the food quality for breakfast in particular, since you did sort of a mix of sit down dining and Cabanas dining?
Yeah, we liked it all. We liked the buffet breakfast. There's so much choice, and not everything's a hit, but you can try enough things that you're going to get some hits. And then we really enjoyed the breakfast at Royal Court. The last day, the breakfast at Enchanted Garden, that there was so limited. They're trying to get you in and out so quickly, obviously. It was just like an extremely limited buffet and you're only allowed to pick your one thing. So I'm not sure we would do that in the future. Maybe we would give Cabanas a try. The Royal Court breakfast was fantastic. So we did that on our Castaway day and it was so relaxed. The food was brilliant. We really enjoyed the breakfast there. But our one regret is that we intended to do a room service breakfast and we didn't get around to that. So we never tried that.
Yeah. Well, and the room service breakfast, though, all you get is like continental breakfast. You can't get eggs and stuff unless you're sailing in concierge 1 bedroom or nicer suite. So for most people, I would say, unless if you're somebody who just likes pastries and toast and, cereal for breakfast, then, that room service breakfast is a great option. But if you're somebody who wants like eggs and bacon and sausage and things like that, you really got to go to either Cabanas or to the dining room. Well, I got to hear about, your real dining experience, which of course happens in the 3 rotational dining restaurants at dinner. You guys, of course, went to Enchanted Garden, Royal Court, and Animator's Palette, and you would have had the Crush show, I'm guessing, at Animator's Palette. Yeah. And so I would love to hear what you thought about the food, and then of course what you thought about the show in Animator's Palette.
We couldn't really see the show. Our table was quite far from any of the screens, so we couldn't really see what was going on or hear what was going on. It was very loud. We liked Animator's Palette. In fact, the other three said it was their favourite restaurant, but it was so loud that we had no idea. I mean, the show could have not been going on, and I don't think I would have noticed, which is maybe, it's a bit of a shame. But I think, you can say what your special request is in the thing. And I know you could ask to be closer to what's going on, but my husband's a little bit of an introvert, and his main request for this cruise was not sitting with anyone else. So that was our request in our special requests. So, you just then, we got that. So you just then have to, I think, put up with wherever you end up within the room. So just within that room, it was, not too far and not too close. We didn't really see what was happening. So we had Royal Court the first night, then 2 nights in a row, Animator's Palette, and with the second of those being the Pirate. Yeah, that was right. The second one being the Pirate night. And then we had Enchanted Garden the last night. Enchanted Garden, I had been looking forward to because it's such a beautiful looking restaurant. Unfortunately, we had the closest table to the entrance. So when you just walk in, there's obviously tables just either side right there, with one of them being set even closer to the entrance. And that was where we were sitting. So it wasn't the kind of relaxing experience I thought it might be, because we just had everybody coming in constantly through our dining. So I don't know. I think probably that kind of thing can impact how you feel about the restaurant as well. But food we really liked. Some things are better than others. We did tend to ask our servers what they would recommend when we weren't sure what to go for. I'm vegetarian, so didn't have as many choices. My husband loved having all these choices. He really enjoyed the food and said it was better than he thought it would be in all the main dining rooms. I think when people say to you it's going to be like a kind of wedding food, and he was saying maybe yes, but good wedding food, and he really enjoyed a lot of his options. And we really liked that the girls had the choice. They often had mostly the kids menu, even the 13-year-old, because she had mac and cheese as her main meal every day.
No, she's just like Nathan.
Every single day. It's her favourite thing. Yeah. But they did both often pick an appetizer from the adults.
Oh, nice.
So we all had the black truffle prosciutto as animators.
I love
because
it.
They like pasta. And we all really enjoyed those. So
yay! Yeah. I'm putting another notch on the scoreboard for myself, by the way.
Yeah, they were good. The girls both enjoyed them too. And my youngest tried one of the seafood dishes as a starter as well. So she always went for the main from the kids as well. But they would go back and forth for the appetizer and the dessert between the two menus, and then just have the kids' menu. So I liked how much choice they had. And it is a good way for kids to try things that they're not sure about. Because none of them needed to eat 3 courses, which meant that if they couldn't finish something, it didn't really matter.
Awesome. Well, the one question we didn't ask you, which was part of the reason you went on this cruise, was your husband has a fascination with boats. And I'm curious as to, did this sort of increase that fascination? Did it satisfy, did it check that box for him? Because being on a cruise ship is different than being on like a luxury yacht. It's a very different experience. And it's not like being on a sailboat or a catamaran or anything like that, but it is a boat, ship.
Yes. Although interestingly, we did do a private catamaran cruise the night before the cruise as well in Cocoa Beach, because I thought, what if this doesn't do that for him? What if that's not the ship experience, the boat experience he needs? So I booked us a sunset catamaran cruise in Cocoa Beach the night before it. So he was going to get his boat experience from that. But yes, it did. He really enjoyed it, probably of all of us. The girls and I would say we really enjoyed it. We absolutely would love to go on another one, but we're still parks people. My husband would say he's more of a Disney Cruise Line person than a Disney Parks person.
Yes, we're on Team Husband right now. Okay.
But then he let me take the girls to Disney World on my own last summer, and he did, without him coming, because he was finishing a degree while working.
Yeah.
It was literally like the final weeks of it, the final push, and I was like, just get out of your hair to Disney World with the girls.
Yeah,
but he was okay with that. So he's not as big a parks fan anyway, but he said he definitely is a cruise fan.
Well, Anna, is there anything that you wanted to be sure to share about your sailing that you haven't had a chance to, or that we haven't asked about?
I guess one of the things we've talked about, and it did come up in the cruise group as well, was about the interactions with the different servers and staff. I think that was part of what had excited me about the cruise, with the idea that you have these amazing interactions and these, servers who interact with your kids and chat and do little tricks. And there was none of that.
That's a bummer.
And we had this, they were really good. They were really efficient. They always had our drinks ready. They always took our orders. They cleared the table. Our room was always made up. All the people that we had were efficient. And I don't think that was the case for everyone, because there was a lot of complaints in the cruise group afterwards. Although, again, I think maybe the fact that it was such a full sailing was part of it, because our main impression of the servers was that they were really busy and really rushed. So we were like, I don't understand how people get to know their servers, because they would be at the table for seconds and then they were gone, just constantly moving. And they did everything. And we never had to wait for everything. But the other side to that is that we didn't get to speak to them. I couldn't even remember their names now. Names on the ship when I was saying it, because they were there and gone so quickly that I barely saw. Whereas when we had the breakfast at Royal Court, there was not that many people in the room when we were having breakfast. We had a fantastic interaction with the person who was serving us, and we were saying, maybe it's about the different person, but I think it was also just that we were the only person in his area. It was quite easy for him to stop and chat with us and take photos, because he wasn't rushing around multiple tables. And I don't know if that is just the difference between really full. Obviously this is my only cruise experience. I don't know if it's the difference between a really full cruise and a quieter cruise, or if there's any sort of change and there may be shorter staff than they used to be. I don't know, but I got the sense that it wasn't just us. And that people who'd done cruises before had found it quite a different experience.
I think it's both. I honestly do think that I don't know if I get the impression that they are more strapped for staff than they have been in the past. And maybe that's because the fleet is bigger and continuing to grow. But I also think fuller sailings in general, like when we've done, a spring break sailing or Christmas sailing, right? Like ones that are, and yours was a spring break sailing in the US. That's, that time, early April, really starting from sort of mid-March through all of April is kind of the typical spring break time, depending upon where in the States. And so, those sailings tend to be fuller, and they do tend to have, staff is a little bit stressed and a little bit less able to interact. And some of the servers are really good at doing that balance. And some are just like, I'm just trying to be efficient. I'm going to get, good service to these folks, even if that doesn't mean I'm going to have this personal relationship. So it's hard. I like you, I would rather have that balance, or I love to have that interaction, but I also understand if they're just trying to do their job, I'm not going to keep them from doing their job, right? Because they've got 12 people at one table and 4 people at another table and 4 people at another table. And, I want to make sure that they're able to do that. So yeah, it's hard though. It's definitely a hard thing to balance. I'm curious, you all are familiar with, culture in the US because you have been over here a bunch of times, but did you, have any, did you ask questions in your cruise Facebook group about, the tipping situation, or was that fairly transparent as to how that all works?
We have been, I don't know how many times we've been over to the States. And also I had relatives that lived in Canada when I was younger. And so we would come over to North America and then to the States quite regularly. So I think we felt comfortable with that. We, in terms of the prepaid gratuities, the main gratuities, we just prepaid those through our travel agent, because I did use a travel agent for this because it was the first time when I wanted to have somebody to ask questions. And we had read up and seen on multiple different videos and things about how much would be expected for to be the person who took our bags, or any of the other things. We didn't do room service, but we didn't go to any bars or buy drinks in any bars or anything like that either. But we were aware of what the expectations would be.
Well, and I think we've reached that time in the show where I need to hand you over to Sam for some arbitrary questions, some arbitrary rules, and a dash of judgment of the round we know as rapid fire. So, Sam, take it away.
All right, Anna, I'm going to ask you some Disney favorites and some Disney Cruise Line favorites. Your favorite ship is, of course, the Disney Fantasy. And you mentioned your favorite show was Aladdin. So I'm not going to ask you that question in rapid fire, but we're going to start with who's your favorite Disney character. And you can choose anything that Disney owns. I mean, that can be Star Wars, that can be The Simpsons, or that can be, of course, classic Disney characters. But who's your favorite?
Winnie the Pooh.
Oh,
who maybe hasn't, I don't know, maybe always been, a Millen character, really, but
Disney co-opted Winnie the Pooh.
Good choice, though. Winnie the Pooh, definitely.
I love Winnie the Pooh. All right, what's your favorite Disney movie?
Yeah, so I have thought about this because I obviously listen to the show quite a lot, and my favorite film has a different name in our country for some reason compared to the States, and I really don't know why that is. But in the UK, it's Zootropolis. I believe it's Zootopia. In the States,
Zootropolis.
I don't know why. I don't know why. I do not know what the difference. Well, I don't know why they had to change it. I can't see this. It makes more sense for us being Zootropolis. We don't use the word metropolis.
Metropolis, yeah.
That's the word we use in the UK, so I don't know.
That's so funny.
But I would know it's a Zootropolis.
Yeah, well, we love Zootopia, and it's one of our cruise traditions is watching Zootopia in our stateroom in whatever Disney cruise ship we're on. We have to watch Zootopia, or Zootropolis. I'm going to call it Zootropolis from now on. I kind of love that. All right, well, what is your favorite Disney song?
It's actually from the same film, the Shakira song, Try.
Yes, Try Anything. Yeah, I love that. Great.
Yeah.
All right. What was your favorite onboard activity on the Disney Fantasy?
Informal. I liked wandering around doing the fish extenders and the pixie dusting, but the sort of formal activities, we did really enjoy the Midship Detective.
Love it. Awesome. What was your personal favorite rotational dining, not the rest of the families? I heard it was, you said they loved Animator's Palette, but what was your favorite?
I really don't know. I never came up with an answer. Because I loved Royal Court when we went for breakfast, but I didn't love it as much when we went for dinner.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Probably for dinner, I would say, I don't know, probably Animators as well. And particularly it was fun on Pirates Night.
Yeah. Favorite space to relax on the ship?
My veranda.
Yeah, that's a great one. All right, I got to ask you a favorite food item. I need a sweet item, and then I'm going to ask you a savory item. I always start with the sweets because the savories are my favorite. So what was a favorite sweet item on board the ship? It could be a main dining, could be cabanas, could be soft serve ice cream.
Let's just soft serve ice cream. I don't even like that over here. We call it Mr. Whippy, and it's mainly just vanilla. And it gets sold in all these ice cream vans that go around with their little sound on. And I would never, ever have it. I just don't particularly like it. I really liked the chocolate soft serve. Yeah. That was absolutely my favorite thing.
Yeah. I think Disney has just a really good soft serve mix. I don't know why, I'm not that big on soft serve here either, but when I'm on a Disney Cruise Line ship, I could go for either a swirl or the banana or the mango when they have those. Oh, so good. So good. All right.
We didn't get mango, but I wish we had.
Yeah. Oh, it's really good. It's really good. I think the banana might be my favorite. Brian likes it when they do banana and strawberry, and you can do a banana strawberry swirl, but it's rare. It doesn't happen. So usually when they put banana out, they put banana and chocolate, and then you can, I don't like banana and chocolate together. All right. What's a favorite savory item?
Yeah, I was thinking about this. I think the things is going to sound like a really random thing, but I really liked the omelette I had in Royal Court for breakfast.
Oh, love that.
Just, because I could choose what went into it myself, I really like a fresh, nicely made omelette. It was delicious.
That's a great one. Honestly, they for a lot of chefs, they test their skills by testing how they cook eggs, because eggs, cooking eggs well can be a skill. And we know that because Cabana's scrambled eggs are the absolute worst. And so we know that you can ruin eggs. You absolutely can ruin
eggs. Yes, it was very different even to the omelets that you get in Cabanas. But I mean, I didn't get one. I think can they make them for you in Cabana? I don't know.
Yes, you can at the egg station. They'll make you, if you go to the egg station, but then you have to order it and wait for it. But they will make you an omelet, or they'll make you a scramble with whatever ingredients you want. But they tend to be they make them real quick. And so they tend to be kind of greasy, I find. Like they use too much of the oil. Yeah. All right. My last question of rapid fire, because as I said, your favorite ship is the Disney Fantasy. So my last question is a bucket list cruise. Anna, if you could go anywhere in the world, and it was on a Disney Cruise Line ship, and it doesn't have to be someplace that Disney Cruise Line currently goes, where would you sail?
So it is somewhere Disney goes, but I would love to go on an Alaska.
Yeah.
Sailing. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I just don't know that it's ever going to be in the budget, because now, having had a veranda, I'm not sure I can ever not have a veranda. But the difference in price for a veranda room on an Alaskan sailing, and obviously we have to add on £3,000, maybe, I guess like $4,000 just for flights to come over. So it maybe is always just going to be a bucket list cruise, but that would be what I would love to do.
Well, absolutely. We are very excited to sail our first time in Alaska this summer. It's a lot
closer to you.
It's a lot closer to us. It's funny. We always think it's hilarious. We've never sailed to Alaska, even though we could sail literally to Alaska on any other cruise line right out of Seattle, or only a few hour drive to Vancouver to sail on Disney, which is what we're doing. But yeah, absolutely a bucket list for sure. Well, Anna, thank you so much for joining us. We so appreciate having you on the show. We love, of course, having voices from, non-Americans and non-Canadians, because that's our typical guests are usually mostly Americans. We get Canadians more often, but it's always really fun to have somebody from over in the UK or from somebody over in mainland Europe tell us their opinions and their views of Disney Cruise Line, because it is definitely a different experience on a lot of fronts. So thank you so much for reaching out, and thanks for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I've been really excited. I think I'm going to get to relive the whole thing. So thank you.
Well, thanks to everyone out there for listening this week. We really, really appreciate it. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you can keep getting great content from us every week. In fact, twice a week we publish shows. So be sure to hit the subscribe button to get all of those great episodes. And if you want to watch us live, we have a live show now every week, Monday nights, 5:30 p.m. Pacific, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, over on youtube.com/DCL Duo. So be sure to head over and check that out. If you want to help support the show, be sure to hit those 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. And if you leave us a written review, a 5-star written review, we will read it at the top of one of our main episodes. So please head over there and hit those 5 stars. Of course, you can also help support the show by supporting our fabulous show sponsor, My Path Unwinding Travel. If you want to book your next Disney vacation, head over to mypathunwinding.com/DCL Duo, or email them at dclduo@mypathunwinding.com so they know we sent you their way. If you've got questions or you'd like to connect with us, the best way to do that is to head over to dclduo.com. It's got links to all of our things, full catalog of the podcast episodes, including a searchable catalog for the podcast, links off to our vlog, a link to our Etsy store where we sell some fun fan-inspired magnets, link to our Patreon if you'd like to help directly support the show each and every month. Just head over to the website or patreon.com/DCLDuo. Also has a way for you to sign up for our Substack newsletter that we're hoping to start really pumping out monthly here at least, and a few blog articles that we've written. So DCLDuo.com is the best way to connect with us. You can also, of course, email us at info@DCLDuo.com or reach out to us on our voicemail line at 402-413-5590. That's 402-413-5590. The DCL Duo podcast is not affiliated with Disney Cruise Line, the Disney Company, or the Disney family of theme parks. The views expressed on the show are solely those of the individuals on the podcast and in no way reflect the views of the Disney Company or Disney Cruise Line. If you have questions about a Disney cruise or a Disney vacation, please contact the great folks over at My Path Unwinding Travel or Disney directly, or your own travel agent. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time for another fabulous adventure with the DCL Duo. Good night.